Welcome back to another episode of Caps Off by the Game Day. It is championship start. Sit, Kyler. We're alive. We are live. Felipe, how you
Let's
doing? You look a
go.
little tired. You look a little tired. I get it. You're not in the championship, so you're not as fired
Tired?
up as
I
you
feel
come in.
great, man. You always say I look tired. Why you calling me out like that? I got a fly flying around right here though, so that's not too fun because he's kind of bothering
I'll
my vision.
I'll be
But
honest. We were talking about this before. Your camera's not even like hooked. You're using the MacBook camera, so maybe it's not as high quality, and therefore I cannot see your good looking face. It's one of those situations.
yeah, it's unfortunate, But hey, fantasy championship, we're here.
I did wake up. I've been feeling good going into this week, and then this morning I woke up feeling a little anxious. And I was trying to think like, where is this angst coming from? Only to realize that it was coming from the championship. It was literally coming from the
Mm,
decision of Amari Cooper, Aaron Jones, and Raheem Mostert. It was real angst,
yeah,
on the line there. So that was cool. How was your morning?
my morning's pretty good, man. Chilling. Not too much. Had a little coffee. Kind of hanging out, working on some
Hmm.
stuff. Nothing crazy.
Yeah. All right. That's lovely. That's lovely. Well, hey, if
I
you're
don't have
just
to worry
joining
about
us.
fantasy. I don't have to worry about fantasy
No,
right
you're
now
right.
because
You're right. But you're going to have to worry about it right now because we're going to help everyone that's just joining us now. I know
yeah,
TikTok came in a
sure.
little bit later. If you did just join us, welcome to the Start Sit episode of Championship Weekend. Our final Start Sit. There it is.
All right,
Our final
apologies.
Start Sit of the entire fantasy season. I mean, it's crazy that we've been doing 2 episodes of fantasy conversations since week 1. And hopefully we were able to get people to the championship, to this moment right here where we can't play some defense, but we can play better offense and we can try and start the right people. So that's what this episode's all about, trying to get you to start the right people heading into this week, starting with tonight's matchup of Jets and Browns. Hopefully we can, make an educated decision. Because for me right now, Amari Cooper versus Aaron Jones, I have no idea what I'm going to do. But Kyler is in here from YouTube, and he's already talking about a little bit of a pickle that he's in. I'm not a big pickle person. What about you, Lipe?
I love pickles, man. Anytime I can have a pickle, especially if I'm getting a sandwich. I don't get sandwiches often, try to avoid the bread. You gotta stay in shape. But
Yeah.
if I'm getting a sandwich and I'm out, I want a pickle with it. Absolutely. Y'all love pickles.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a big pickle person. I'll be honest. Now, if it is like on a burger, I will say cuts the fat a little bit. It's got a good bite to
Love
it.
the burger. Oh, love it on
Not,
a burger.
but not a big pickle person. But Kyler's pickle is a little bit different than the pickle we're talking about. He says, "All right, boys, I'm in a bit of a pickle." He's got Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, Josh Jacobs, and Keenan Allen all questionable. Um, Kyler, how many do we need to start? Is the real question. Is it just one? I don't
Yeah.
think he
Yep.
plays. So I can't see it right now. I've Keenan Allen, one of my teams. I'm moving forward as if he's not going to play. So let's just talk about it with Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, and Josh Jacobs. Out of those three, who would you want to start?
Probably. I mean, is CJ Stroud playing?
I think CJ's going to play. He practiced yesterday, so all signs are pointing to him playing. This is a good matchup for the Texans. I was looking through some of their stats. I mean, look, when Nico Collins has CJ Stroud's been, Nico Collins has been the guy. Nico comes in at wide receiver 22 against Tennessee. Tennessee, I mean, look, you've been slandering Calvin Ridley all year. Everyone has slandered Calvin Ridley all year. And granted, one of the best games that Calvin Ridley had all year was against this Titans defense. So
Yep.
I think I lean Nico just because of the
I
ceiling
do
in the
too.
championship. Zay might have a floor from a volume perspective, but I'm not trusting it. Obviously, he scored last week, but that hasn't been the norm. And when it comes to Josh Jacobs, I don't know what his status is exactly. So if we need an answer right now, I think I'm going with Nico.
I'm
Thoughts?
going Nico. With CJ Stroud. Definitely going Nico. If Stroud wasn't playing,
Mm,
I'd probably lean toward. I do like the volume that Zay gets week over week. Lots of targets, and he's starting to turn that into efficiency overall. So,
yep.
yeah, but I think Nico.
Okay. So he needed to start one from there. Do you have TikTok comments coming in? I can't
I
see
got I
TikTok
got
comments on
TikTok.
my
I
end.
got TikTok
All right,
comments.
let's rip it.
So this is great. First, some questions asking about why we're talking about sandwiches. Adam, what do you
Well,
say?
hungry to start, little,
Nice.
little, little hungry. And then the idea of like a pickle with a burger, just, Kyler, one of the guys on YouTube right now said he was in a pickle. So got me thinking.
There you go.
Good
Okay.
question though. Good question.
So, all right, I got a couple questions for you. Eli Herms says choose
Shout out
two
Eli.
between Ty Chandler, T. Higgins, and Jordan Addison. Choose two.
Mm, Half PPR full. That's the question. Um, here's
That
what I
is
would
tough.
say. Going in the playoffs, like I like T, right? Matchup against Kansas City feels like something that if it's full PPR, we can get a ceiling play there. The problem is in the championship, we might need a floor. And I think Ty
Mm.
Chandler didn't have a great game, but going against Green Bay's defense, which made Carolina look like a good offense in a shootout. So I think I'm actually going to lead Ty Chandler, and I think I'm going to preference. You're going to like throughout these start sits. I feel people are going to notice maybe that I'm leaning more towards running backs in the championship because of the types of the ways at which they can gain points, right? So, for example, we've always talked about this: wide receivers have to earn it, running backs are just given it. Ty Chandler is going to be given opportunities, whether or not Alexander Madison plays. He's looked like the better guy. I go with Ty Chandler. What are you saying?
Full PPR, by the way.
Full, yeah. I still might go Ty. I like Jordan Addison. I like that idea, but I don't know who the quarterback is, right? And the
Yeah, I
only
agree with that.
now, granted, TJ Hawkinson now is out, right? Like he's done for the year, so that might be an uptick for Jordan Addison. And granted, he can go off for 2 touchdowns, 4 receptions, and 100 yards, which like we've seen before. I don't want to get too cute with it. And I think Ty Chandler, provides you with the safest floor. What are your thoughts?
I agree with that. I think the volume you'll get with Chandler, it's a safe floor play, and you're in a championship. You want to have that safe floor. Go crazy in your other positions, your other places. I mean, I'm assuming this is for your flex, so go crazy there. On the other ones, but let's have a safe floor here. I like what you're saying. How about this?
Yeah.
Demario Douglas or JSN from Matt Zarziski, some shit like that.
So Demario Douglas going up against Buffalo.
JSN going against Pittsburgh.
I think I want to go JSN, even though
I
I'm
do
scared
too.
about both. I'm going to bet on a little bit more of the talent here. I'm also, even though there's so many mouths to feed, JSN showed us some pretty damn good things this year, even with the limited usage that he's got. So I think I'm going to go with JSN.
Yeah, and I agree. That game winning touchdown against the Eagles, elite. I mean, he's starting to get more usage as the season goes on. If you look at
Mm.
the past like 10 or so ish weeks, his stats are very identical to Tyler Lockett's. Is that your puppy?
That was Coda in the background.
Nice,
Yep.
nice.
Yep.
Very identical to Tyler Lockett. So I mean, and there's similar players in the sense of like they get open. They're very strong route runners. Geno Smith
Mm.
is an accurate quarterback who can find them.
Yep.
And I'm assuming he's playing this week. I don't know if it's another Drew Lock week, but I think Geno's back.
I think
Uh,
Geno's back. Yeah.
so I like Jason here a lot. And another thing I like looking at, like if we're comparing these two wide receivers, looking at like the over under for the game, what they're projected to be, because that'll tell you if there's supposed to be a lot of points scored, a lot of yards in that as well. And they're very
Mm-hmm.
similar. Like Steelers, Seahawks are going to be 41.5.
Mm.
The Patriots and Bills is 40.5. So I like JSN just because I think he has higher upside than Demario Douglas.
Yeah, I want to answer one of these questions. Wes on Facebook is asking, is Joe Flacco starting tonight? Joe Flacco is definitely going to start tonight. Might be without Amari Cooper. Amari's testing it in pregame with a heel injury. Everything has said it's like a pretty decent heel injury. So even if he plays, it'll be at 70%. So one of the questions from Michael on YouTube was Flacco or Jacoby Brissett for my championship game this week. Look, both against both shit matchups, right? Washington against San Francisco, Flacco against the Jets. I think I lean Flacco just because of the way he's performed. Jacoby obviously came in for Howell, but it can go either which way. It really can. But San Francisco, I'm just not going to trust going up against that defense coming off the loss that they had.
Yeah, I mean, here, let's go back to the over-unders, right? Over-unders in the 49ers Commanders is 49.5. That's high as hell. So they think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Vegas does at least. Vegas isn't very often wrong. They know their shit. And in the other matchup, Jets and Browns is 34.5. Like, that's so fucking low, dude. I mean, you're talking about a, 15-point swing, essentially. So because of that, that Jets defense obviously has played well on different occasions. I might have to go with Brissett against the Niners.
Yeah, I don't feel strongly either which way. The only reason I'm leaning towards Joe Flacco is just because he's been performing,
Yeah.
regardless of if he's. And I think Amari Cooper is going to play. It's just at what percentage.
Yeah,
How
totally.
healthy he's going to be. So I'm just going to lean off of what I've seen because it is the championship, and I'm not going to overthink it and get too cute with it.
I hear you. All right, here's some more TikTok questions. JD, Purdy or Tua?
I think you got to go Purdy. I mean, I have Tua in one of my leagues. I'm benching Tua. Even so, if he can put up 2 touchdowns, I just think with Brock Purdy, it's a bounce back spot. It's an easy bounce back spot. And in the championship, we need 16 to 18 points from our quarterback minimum just to like stay within it. And Brock Purdy, I just feel like he's going to get you that, no doubt about it.
All right, how about this? Matt Cam 7 Kyle Pitts or Isaiah Likely?
I'm still going Likely. I'm been kind of high on Isaiah Likely. I think he's a really good yak guy. Granted, the team scored a lot of points last week and he didn't benefit from it, but I'm not trusting Kyle Pitts. There's the only
It's so
person we can
hard.
slightly trust is Bijan. What are you doing? I mean, do you have thoughts
I
on
think I'm
that?
going Likely as well. We've seen more from him these past few weeks. Like, I'm
Right.
tired. Look, I've said it time and time again with this Falcons offense. It's not a player problem. It's a coach problem. And
Hmm.
although I love Kyle Pitts, at some point you just got to look at the productivity in recent weeks. And Isaiah Likely has gotten his. He's been getting his. He's been getting targets
Right.
from Lamar, and he's been making the most out of those. He's a big yak guy as well. So I like Likely more than Pitts, even though I'm a bigger Pitts fan. But right now it's a championship. You can't make these types of bets. The only guy I'm making a bet on in that Falcons offense is Bijan because
Mm.
you just kind of have to.
Yeah,
But
you have to.
but the
You
other
have to.
guys I don't love. So I'm gonna go Likely over
Charles
Pitts.
had a Charles has a good question on YouTube. He has two wide receivers starting already. Do I fill the flex
Yeah,
with Garrett Wilson, Stephon Diggs, or Ayuk? Which is an
I,
interesting one. Which is
that's
a
tough.
really interesting one. I'm definitely let's start with Stephon Diggs or Ayuk. I think we would both pick Ayuk and Stephon Diggs over Garrett Wilson. Do we agree there?
Absolutely. Wilson isn't even a question for me.
There's a part of
I'm
me,
not
it
playing him.
depends who else is on the roster. I'm gonna
Mhm.
lean Diggs. I know it's New England. I know he's been bad.
Yeah,
But we're talking about Stephon Diggs here. Are we really going to put him on the bench where he could possibly go for that 25 piece? Right?
right.
Like, I get Ayuk. To me, Ayuk might give you the floor at this point. Diggs might give you the ceiling in the championship. If I lose because I started Diggs, even though he's been bad, that's the way the cookie's going to crumble. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Ayuk. I sent you this tweet. Shout out Josh Larkey, 33rd team. I sent this to you. Are you drinking wine right now? Or is that coffee?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's
Nice.
a
Well,
red.
morning
Yeah, it's a
wine.
nice
Hey,
red.
Wednesday
Yep.
wine. You know it's Thursday. I love it.
Yep.
I sent you this tweet yesterday. It's about Stephon Diggs, and we've been talking about him a lot. Obviously, I think what was it you said? Wide receiver 40 plus over the
He
past few
was
weeks.
wide receiver 40 plus since like week 10. Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah, like it's very, very bad. Especially, I mean, you drafted him high, but even in the despite that, like despite just horrible production the past few weeks, which also has factored in a bye, so you got to think about that. But his
Hmm.
target share since week 11, 28%, 22%, 31%, 39%, 38%. So he's getting
It's pretty damn
targeted
good.
like, yeah, it's insane. So just for context, like elite wide receiver one target shares usually is around 30%. So the fact that in week 15 and 16, he had 39 and 38. In week 14, he had 31. Like he's getting the targets to be able to turn that into production. He just hasn't been doing that. But regression to the mean, like it's gonna happen. You're gonna go back to actually scoring on those opportunities. And by scoring, I just mean like turning that into points, whether it's just getting a bunch of yards, turning those into a
Yeah.
lot of receptions. Diggs is gonna Diggs is due to pop off. And I know this is the championship and you're tired of waiting at this point, but he's just too good a player to sit right now. And he could be the reason you win your championship. You have to play him, especially with those numbers. If he wasn't getting those target shares, then I wouldn't I would say sit him because we've seen enough. But we've seen
I'm
target shares, and that's gonna translate.
I'm curious who the other wide receivers are because if I mean, both are two wide receivers that you would want to start at all costs. If it was me, I'm starting Stephon Diggs. Um, so that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. I hear you.
You
I
got
hear you.
any other questions on
Let's go.
TikTok?
Yeah, man. We got a lot on TikTok. I'm kind of reading on YouTube here too in front of us, but lots on TikTok. So let's do a defensive one, which we don't really talk about
Oof,
too often.
God.
Matt, I don't love defenses, but hey, Matt Cam 7 again. Seahawks or Rams defense. So for context,
Seahawks
Seahawks are
against
playing the Steelers
yeah.
and Rams are playing against the Giants. I like the Rams against the Giants, I think. But I mean, I hate the Steelers offense. So um
I hate the
who do you like
Steelers
there?
offense, but I hate the Steelers offense, but and I think there's not really many defenses going into the championship that you just feel confident to create, 12 or more points. Let's start there, right? Like think about it like this. The Raiders have been the number one defense in total points over the last couple of weeks. Do I think the Raiders are going to continue to replicate that? No, because it's skewed by that 50-point blowout over the Chargers. I think right now, like you look at like someone like the Cowboys, right, who were the number one defense all year, and then now they're probably around defense number 12 going into the week because of the matchup against Detroit. However,
Mm,
what I'm looking for in my championship is can I create one turnover? Like we need 6 to 8 points from a defense because there's been so many defenses as of late that have gotten negative points. So under that logic, I think the Rams have a higher probability of doing that with Tyrod Taylor just because of the talent around the Giants
Mhm.
than if I'm looking at Mason Rudolph and the Steelers. So, Seattle hasn't been necessarily, neither team really has been creating turnovers, but I'm going to trust the Rams. They look like a good team right now, so I'm going to go with the Rams over the Giants. You got thoughts to that?
Got you. No, I was curious about where the Cowboys defense stood after a couple bad weeks. So I was looking at it. They're still defense number 1 overall.
Yep.
And I think this is off. This isn't even the question, but Cowboys playing against the Lions. We've seen the Lions have horrible meltdown games. This is a game where Cowboys have to bounce back. I think this could be a game where, like, if you are starting that Cowboys defense, then you're
I'm
probably going to
starting.
be. Yeah,
I
you're going to
benched him
be.
last week. I benched him
Yeah,
last week against Miami. Going against Detroit, I had the only other defense available was Tampa. I was thinking about playing Tampa against New Orleans. Derek Carr known to make some mistakes. Obviously falls under the logic who's going to throw an INT. If this was in Detroit, I think I would feel a lot less confident about that. But the Cowboys feel like we're in a bounce back spot, right?
yeah,
This
have
could
to be.
easily be one of. It wouldn't shock me if the Cowboys came out and just blew
I,
the
I
fucking brakes off of Detroit.
I totally agree. And look, we've seen Jared Goff have just complete off games where he throws 4
Yep.
interceptions. Like you said, I like that perspective that you said. I mean, we don't analyze defenses too often, but right, it's like you need one turnover. You need one
Right.
turnover. You can maybe get 2-3 sacks. Like that's winning ball for your defense. And the
Yep.
Cowboys can do that any given week. There's a reason the number 1 defense in the league. But if you're talking about like, yeah, these matchups that you're talking about just now, I totally agree. Like, what defense do you think can do that? And that should serve as a good barometer.
Mhm.
Junior Albazuras. That's a good name, Albazuras.
Shout out Junior.
Fields or Murray? Okay, so first Fields or Murray, and then he needs Chandler or Achan. So let's go Fields or Murray first. Who are you starting?
I think I got to go with Justin Fields against. I believe he's playing ATL.
Yeah, he is.
Again,
And
Kyler.
yeah, Kyler's
Kyler
playing,
against
by the way.
Philly, right?
Yeah, Philly.
Kyler is someone I'm starting. I'll put it like this. Let me put it into context. I have Kyler and Tua in one of my championships. I'm starting Kyler over Tua, right? Tua against on the road hasn't not like he's been performing, doesn't provide me anything with the on the ground. So Kyler. If it comes to Kyler versus Justin Fields has had the ceiling all fucking year over Kyler Murray. And granted, there are weeks where that floor is going to be non-existent, but because it's in Chicago, I'm going to go with Justin Fields. I think the ceiling is there. I'm swinging for the fences, and I think Justin Fields provides you with that. So I'm going Justin Fields.
I totally agree. I mean, I know Fields. I mean, if you're in a championship, the Fields got you past that round one fantasy matchup against Cleveland, which was a tough matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I mean, last week he balled the fuck out. He had a huge game on the ground, a huge game passing. Justin Fields looks like what we thought he would be going into the fantasy year, at least, and even stripping away fantasy, he looks like a damn good quarterback right now. So we knew that he would have a good playoffs outside of round one. That means this week I'm also starting him against Atlanta. Very favorable matchup for him. So yeah, I mean, I like Kyler against the Eagles defense too. But if you're picking both between one of those guys or between both of those guys, then I'm gonna go Fields. Sitting Marlin says DeAndre Swift or Travis Etienne.
Okay, that one's a good one. My gut tells me I can't take out Travis Etienne against Carolina.
Yeah,
I
the
just
Panthers. Yeah.
Aaron Jones, who's been hit or miss, even though he didn't find the end zone, still took like 21 carries for 140 plus yards. I get the Jags offense has not been as good. Travis Etienne still, to me, one of those like top 8 backs. I'd like to start both of them. Like, there's no reason I want to take DeAndre Swift out of my lineup against Arizona. This feels like a spike week. I'm playing DeAndre Swift in one of my leagues. I'm nervous. He's one of those main guys I'm very nervous about. I wonder who else he has. But if I have to pick one, I'm probably going to start Travis Etienne, only because I know that he's going to get a majority of the volume. When it comes to the Eagles, they can rotate any running back in there.
Yeah, I hate that for the Eagles because you draft Swift based off of his skill set coming into a better offense than he even was in the years prior, and they don't. And you saw some really high weeks, like 30-point games from DeAndre Swift week 2. And then you just see them utilize other guys just as much, which doesn't really make sense, but it does in a football sense because they just want to protect him and they know he's one of their most talented guys. So because of that hurts his fantasy ceiling. Etienne, on the other hand, has had a pretty damn good fantasy year. Now I know that offense and he himself hasn't been as good as he was early in the season, but you're playing the Panthers who are 0-8 on the road. I mean, they've barely won any games at all. So they're
Yep.
playing at home against the Panthers, and I just think this is a game where it's ETN, like you just can't sit him. Like he's gonna do his thing, and even I think a bad game from him is still gonna provide you a safer floor
Yeah.
than a lot of other guys that you could consider in that position. So I think ETN over Swift. Swift just
I think
is annoying.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. I think it's and again coming into the championship. I think and we started saying this Tuesday, and obviously now it's Thursday. Like this is where the week starts. Is that I'm not going to overthink certain aspects of it, right? Like so, for example, the Amari Cooper versus Aaron Jones dilemma that I've been having. To me, they're right in the same spot. They're lower end wide receiver 2, lower
Yep.
end RB2,
Yep.
right? So and matchups and whatnot. But when it comes to certain players like the ETNs of the world versus DeAndre Swift, what we've seen with both of them is that ETN has underperformed, and yet you're in the championship. DeAndre Swift had a pretty decent week last week. He scored 2 touchdowns, and yet you probably started DeAndre Swift. You probably started both of them, right? So when it comes to now, I'm not going to overthink solely based off of what has happened, right? Because I'm not starting Amari Cooper. That's the Amari Cooper example because he just had a 52-point blow up. But what I am going to look at is like, okay, who do I know is just going to get the volume? DeAndre Swift might have 13 carries, 14 carries, and Travis Etienne might have 20 carries. That's just the nature of their offense. So I'm not going to overthink that specifically when it comes to where the volume is going.
I totally agree with that. Again, like sometimes you have to. There's multiple things to look at. You look at recent performance, but you also look at the season and what each have given you over the season. That's the
Mm,
benefit of being in the championship. You have a large sample size to look at, so you can't be thrown off because of 1 week. This isn't week 3. A guy goes off in week 2, and you're like, "Can he replicate it?" Like Sammy Watkins 5 years ago. Like, no,
exactly.
you have a whole year to look at it. Junior Albazores, I realized we forgot to answer his and he called us out for it. Forgot to answer the second part of his question, which was the first was the
Oh,
field goal.
Ty Chandler, and someone else, right?
Ty Chandler and Achan. So who are you going there?
So it's tough because Achan's ceiling, right? But Achan has not been good. I think I'm going to slightly lean, even though it is against Baltimore, right? Like Christian McCaffrey still had a good day. I think I'm going to slightly lean Ty Chandler. Green Bay's defense has
Mm,
just been awful. And
yeah,
frankly, it's almost as if like Ty Chandler and Alexander Madison, because he's probably going to play, is the 1A, 1B. And
yeah,
in this case, Mostert is the 1A and Achan's the 1B. We're also going to see Jeff Wilson get involved. Like Mostert's a little bit banged up. I'm going to go with Ty Chandler, even though I know and I recognize Achan has the ceiling of all ceilings when it comes to running backs.
yeah. I mean, yeah, tough defense too. He's playing against. I think I agree with you. It's a tough one. It's what do you want? Like, can you have more risk at that position because you got other guys that are definitely going to carry you up? Then
Yep.
I think go HN for sure. But
Let me. I want to make sure we get to some of these YouTube comments, but I
yeah, let's
think, and
go.
I have Achan in one of my leagues as well, and I think the way I is exactly what you just said is how I'd kind of argue for Achan is who else is in my lineup, and in this lineup is Lamar, Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, CeeDee Lamb, and Justin Jefferson. So at my flex is between it's not Ty Chandler, but it's Tyler Lockett and Achan. For me, I'm in a position because I see what else the other people on my team. I could start Achan because I could have that ceiling, right? I could have a little bit more risk baked into it. But if I didn't have Lamar or
Bijan
CD
scares
and
me.
Jettis, Bijan scares me as well, but I have CD and
Yeah,
Jettis to all kind of offset a
yeah,
little bit, then
yeah,
I'd be probably starting Ty Chandler.
yeah. I hear you.
Let's go to you want to go to let's go to some of these YouTubes. I see
Yeah.
Pacheco or Chuba Hubbard from JFam.
Pacheco or Chuba Hubbard. If Pacheco is healthy and playing, I'm usually gonna roll with Pacheco. I think the Chiefs at this point also, on a side note, like they have to. They're fighting. They're fighting right now for the playoffs. Like we didn't
Mhm.
think they'd be in this position, but they've lost a few. They lost a couple straight, I think, but they lost a few of their past whatever games, and they're 9-6, and they're only a game ahead of the Bengals. Who would have thought after the Bengals losing Joe Burrow and all that? So they have to play hard, and I think this. We've been saying it week over week, but this has to be a bounce back. Like you have to get right before the
Yep.
playoffs. You have 2 weeks to get right before the playoffs, and Pacheco's one of your best players. You got to utilize him. I would roll with Pacheco in this case over Chuba
Yep.
Hubbard. He's a better player and a better system, and that's just kind of what I chalk it up to.
I agree. Rami asked Mike Evans, Rasheed Rice, Brandon Ayuk, pick 2 full PPR. Great question.
All right. Mike Evans, Rasheed Rice, Brandon
and
Ayuk.
Brandon Ayuk,
I'm
full
going Mike. I'm
PPR.
starting Mike for sure.
Mm.
He's looked good with Baker.
And no
Um,
Marshawn Lattimore,
yeah,
too,
and no
which is a
Marshawn
massive one.
Lattimore. And I saw a tweet earlier. I wish I had it pulled up right now, but the teams that have played the Saints without Marshawn Lattimore, their wide receiver one has popped off like every
Puka
single time.
Nacua.
Puka too, yeah. So I like him. Who are the other guys? I lost
Ayuk
it. Oh,
and
okay.
Rasheed Rice.
Ayuk and Rasheed Rice. I'm probably going. Oh, that's
I
tough.
think I'm going to lean.
Ayuk.
Ooh, I think I'm going to slightly lean Ayuk because Mike Evans is going to give you a little bit more of a floor.
Yeah, I
Ayuk can
agree.
easily play within that ceiling. We're talking about a Commander's defense, right? Like we
Yeah,
saw
yeah,
with
yeah.
Tyreek. We just saw that. I'm not the reason I bring up Tyreek is like the types of offense, what they can do, the schematics of it. I'm gonna go Ayuk as much as Rasheed Rice has been good. The fact that you can choose between
Totally.
Ayuk and Rasheed Rice makes me feel better. I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
lean slightly Ayuk.
Dope. Yeah,
We
I
got
agree
some
with
other
that.
questions.
And just real quick, because like somebody on TikTok also said they're worried
Yeah.
about starting Mike Evans this week. I don't know why you would be worried about starting Mike Evans this week. He's been wide receiver one all year. You have to start him. So don't do that.
Looking at the rankings as well, Brandon Ayuk comes in at wide receiver 10 this week. Rasheed Rice, wide receiver 11, right? Like it's super, super close. Mike Evans, wide receiver. We're starting him no matter what. But when I look at Brandon Ayuk, like I'm betting on a bounce back game against Washington. And frankly, I love that matchup. I think Purdy, it's
Yeah.
going to be a rout, is how I kind of see it. There's a good one right here. Edwin asked, Amari Cooper versus the Jets or Keenan Allen coming off injury with Easton Stick? Very tough. I don't even know if Keenan Allen's for sure going to play. So
That
it's
is
really
tough,
hard
man.
it is tough. If both were healthy, we'd be starting Keenan Allen, it'd be no question, even with Easton Stick. Um, I think we got it. I think right as of right now, because you need a decision by tonight, I hope you have another. If those are your only two, you have to start Amari Cooper because we just don't know if Keenan Allen's going to play.
Agreed with
So I
agree
think
with that.
that's. I saw one that I want to ask you, which I think is a good one: Zeke or Aaron Jones?
Oh,
Zeke coming in as like a low end RB2, going up
yeah.
against Buffalo.
Yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson now on IR. So
Yeah.
the backfield is all Zeke's. Not that changed much because it's been his. I'm going to lean Aaron Jones personally. Like
Against the
Aaron Jones against the
Vikings.
Vikings. Not as good of a matchup. The defense has been better, but Aaron Jones just looked good last week. I think we're going to get it's another ceiling floor type of argument.
Yeah, Zeke will give you a floor. I think he's been he's been playing very well the past couple of weeks. He's been doing his thing, and he's been putting a lot of people through their fantasy playoffs. So, I think I'm gonna go the other way. I think I'm gonna go Zeke. I know he's gonna get his volume. He's also been involved in the receiving game like crazy, which is awesome, and he's a good receiver. He's just not as explosive as he used to be, but he's still a damn good receiver. So, I would go. I think I personally would go Zeke because I know what I'm gonna get.
I don't hate it, right? Like Buffalo's not as intimidating of a matchup, but I still just like Aaron Jones coming in on full PPR as the RB14 this week. I'm going to lean slightly Aaron Jones just because of how he looked, but it's a worse matchup. So I don't hate if you want to start Zeke. It's a volume play, right? And then I'll
Yeah.
give you one last question, then we'll move right back over to TikTok. A lot of YouTube comments. Appreciate everyone coming in through YouTube. Make sure to hit that like button, share with your
Hell yeah.
friends. Augie asks, start one, Javonte Williams, Mostert, or Achane. I saw another question down below that had Mostert and Achane, or Mostert and Javonte as well. So this will kind of kill two birds with one stone.
So starting one out of those three?
Javonte, Mostert, or Achane.
One
I think you
start
got to
one?
go Mostert. Again, like he got you there. Like we're talking about
Yeah.
the RB2 in fantasy. Even though he might not put up this massive game that Achane can, I'm definitely not starting Javonte. Let's start there, right? We're not. Russell Wilson just got benched. Don't know what the fuck's going on in Denver. Obviously, they're benching him because of these injury concerns in terms of the contract and not having it fully guaranteed. It's between Mostert and Achane. I'm going to start the 1A to the 1B personally. I'm going to go with Mostert.
Yeah, I'm taking Mostert. I'm not really. That one's pretty easy. I'm going Mostert.
Yeah, you want to
You
move
want some
back over to
TikTok
TikTok?
questions?
Yep.
Christian L says Austin Eckler or Jordan Addison. I'm gonna go Eckler. I just know what he is more than Addison. I know Addison's been having a good year, and especially for a rookie. But I'm gonna go Eckler. How about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to lean Eckler. Again, he's fallen off this year, and I
Yeah.
understand that to prop Jordan Addison up would be because TJ Hawkinson is now out. However, Like Austin Eckler still can be Austin Eckler. I don't think he's like that much worse. Like he's a receiving threat, right? So I'm going to go with Austin Eckler. I'm not going to overthink it. Jordan Addison, I'm trying to look at these rankings right now. Not even seeing him come in on these rankings, unless I'm missing something. Nico, I'm trying to. Jordan Addison comes in at wide receiver 84 this week, which is wild. Why is that?
Yo, shout out Runs with the Win, sending us hella roses on TikTok, man.
Let's fucking go. But yeah, I think I'm going to start Eckler.
Ryan Pearl just sent us a trophy or something. I don't know.
We got a trophy? Shout out.
Dude, let's go, man. Shout out TikTok.
Let's go, bro.
How about this? I saw a question earlier. I was gonna ring it up, but just lost it. So who cares? Evan Ingram or Trey McBride?
Got to go McBride. Comes in at Fantasy Pros had him at tight end 1 coming into this week. I know he had a dud going up against Philly. Philly's defense is not, is susceptible to shit like that. Even Darren Waller, even though he had a ton of targets last week, he didn't convert on all of them. But there's absolutely no way in hell I'm taking out Trey McBride in my lineup.
I agree with that. He's one of my favorite players in fantasy right now. He's gonna be a staple, tight end, top 2, if not 1 tight end for the next 10 or so years, I think.
Oof.
And so yeah, I love Trey McBride. How about this? Jordan Love or Justin Fields from Chris Jones?
Green Bay against Minnesota. Justin Fields against ATL. I think I want to go with – I still want to go with Justin Fields. Like, I'm not trying to get too cute with it. I get Jordan Love's had a couple good games here and there, but, like, give me the rushing upside of Justin Fields.
I totally agree with that. I'm starting Fields pretty much over everybody. Like, if you have Fields, you probably don't have another one of those top quarterbacks, so you're probably going to start Fields. But I think Fields is a top, 3 option this week.
Justin Fields comes in here on Fantasy Pros as QB7 coming into the week.
Yeah.
Jordan Love coming in at QB 15. So that's
so it's not really.
That's not even a question. I want to go to Luke's question because Luke keeps asking on YouTube. He said, need help between these 3, only can pick 2. Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, DeAndre Swift, which is a really, really good one.
It's a good one. I'm going Diggs and Kupp personally. I love the Diggs ceiling. We talked about his target shares a little bit earlier, how he's getting elite, like top 1 wide receiver target share. And I know he's been underperforming, but he's due to bounce back. And I think this could definitely be the week. Cooper Kupp also, I just love what he's been doing. Swift he's been so inconsistent. So I'm going to go Diggs and Kupp.
Again, yeah, you're playing with a ceiling. I think this is a blow-up spot for DeAndre Swift. However, it's always a blow-up spot for Stephon Diggs and Cooper Kupp. So I think I'm going to lean slightly them, just going to bet on the talent there. DeAndre Swift, obviously an amazing running back, but I'm with you. I'm going to lean slightly on Diggs and Kupp, even though I think consensus is going to say keep DeAndre Swift. He's a top 10 running back play this week. But I'm going to go with Diggs and Kupp too, I think.
Yeah. I've been seeing some questions. I see one on YouTube about Garrett Wilson. I saw some on TikTok. I don't remember whoever asked anymore. Apologies. But somebody said, do I start not Amari Cooper. So do I start Garrett Wilson against the Browns defense this week? I am not starting him. I hate the Jets offense in general. In most weeks, I'm scared of Garrett Wilson. I think he's one of the best and most talented receivers in the league, but because of that offensive situation and the quarterback playing, I just don't love what's going on in that New York offense. So I stay away from Garrett Wilson unless I have to start him at my flex. Perhaps if you have other options, then those options might be better. Like you might probably have a higher ceiling than Garrett Wilson and even potentially a safer floor. So I'm worried about him against the Browns. If I have anybody in that realm that's like a bottom end, low end wide receiver, I'm probably going to go with those guys.
Yeah, I mean, and one of the questions was about seeing if Jamar Chase plays. And wait, I don't think Jamar Chase is going to play. He was a DMP yesterday at practice. I'm not waiting, right? This is the championship. Unless you have better options, there's just no way you're waiting. So you're going to have to start Garrett Wilson over Jamar Chase. Even if Jamar does end up playing, it's not something you can wait for. We're just not in that position in the championship. Like, let's not get too cute with it. Garrett's been okay. And I don't trust them at all either. The Browns defense is the Browns defense. But I'm not waiting. If my options are Jamar, wait for Jamar, see if he plays, or start Garrett Wilson tonight. You got to start Garrett Wilson.
The Browns defense, man, like advanced analytics, just what they've been doing in terms of like stopping offenses and stuff like that. They are the number 1 defense in the league. So it just worries me for the Jets, and I'm worried about them in general, but especially against the Browns defense, I don't like them. Shout out Anthony D on TikTok who's sending us like a
Shout out
million
to D,
roses,
bro.
a lot of
Shout out to
roses.
D.
Relax, pause.
No, Anthony D, of course.
Yeah, Anthony D. Anthony D.
Mm.
What else we got? What else we got? Pick three. There we go. Pick three. Alvin Kamara, Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, Isaiah Pacheco. So Kamara, Eckler, Barkley, Pacheco. Pick three. I could go first.
Go
I'm going to
first.
start Pacheco,
Mm.
Barkley,
Mm.
and Kamara.
I'm probably gonna do the exact same thing. I'll be honest. I
Yeah.
just am not high on like this Chargers team at all. And frankly, Pacheco's given me a safe floor all year. He's fine in the end zone. I totally agree with the people that you're starting.
Hell yeah, dude. That's why we're boys. You know what I'm saying? Zaytoven says, shout out Future. He says,
Shout out
Zamir
Beethoven, man.
White or Ty Chandler?
So I don't know the latest with Josh Jacobs versus Zamir White. Zamir has looked the part, like
Yeah,
against
yeah.
Kansas City defense as well. So here's what I would say: if Josh Jacobs doesn't play, we're going to go with Zamir White. However, I don't know if you can. Like, we're going to have to see. They both play on Sunday, so I don't think there's an issue with waiting. Let's see what the latest is with Josh Jacobs. I think he was somewhat close last week. He sat out a walkthrough yesterday. So he might not play. And if that's the case, I'm going to start Zamir White.
You
But
look
also if Josh
good,
Jacobs,
man.
yeah, he looked really good. So I'm gonna lean Ty Chandler as of right now until I know the full circumstances with Josh Jacobs.
Hell yeah, I like that. I agree with that. Hey, yo, Jay Guerra on TikTok says, boys, you may not remember me from a month ago, but I
Ooh,
made the fantasy championship with a bunch of hearts. Congrats, bro.
let's
You
fucking
earned
go,
it.
man.
You earned it. It was you. It wasn't us, but I'm glad we got to be a part of your journey.
I wonder if it's the same person, but Ricky just asked the exact same question: Kamara, Eckler, Pacheco, Saquon on YouTube. So if that guy has the same dilemma, or it's the same person on TikTok, I mean, shout out the
That's
dual
crazy.
screen. Shout out watching on both. But
Yo, facts.
I think we're both going Kamara, Pacheco, and Saquon.
Facts.
Some questions coming in on YouTube. Martin asked, pick one: Amari Cooper, Ty Chandler, Calvin Ridley. Amari Cooper obviously banged up tonight. Don't trust Calvin Ridley, even though he had a 2-touchdown game. Like, we're in the championship right now. We're not trusting him. So I think if we're going basic floor, it's going to go Ty, just because Amari might be hurt going into tonight.
Say less.
What are you doing?
You're
You like
genius.
that?
Yeah, I
You like
absolutely
me,
love it,
bro?
dude. You're just feeding the fucking plays right now. I fucking love it. Dude, what's the status on Pacheco, really realistically? Because a lot of people are saying, oh, he's got a concussion. People are saying, you really think Pacheco plays? Well, do we know any extra info
I
on
mean,
Pacheco?
let's go. Let's see, 21 hours ago. Well, we got to go to Twitter actually and see what the
Yeah,
status is. I mean, look, what we've seen with any sort of running back that is dealing with a concussion, or frankly, just people dealing with concussions. Like, I think for the most part, we've seen people be able to play like right afterwards. I think earlier in the season, if I was going to say if he's going to play or not, I would have said no, because they were kind of sitting out people that had concussion. But obviously, it makes it easier. If he doesn't play, then you're naturally not going to start him. You have time, right? So if we're assuming he's playing, then that's where Pacheco comes into play. So it was like, I think Eckler, Kamara, Pacheco, Saquon. If Pacheco doesn't play, naturally you're going to start Eckler. So I think it makes it pretty easy. Actually, it'll make it easier for you if you don't have him.
yeah, totally agree. Brandon Moy says Puka, Rasheed Rice, Amon Ra, or Debo. Full PPR.
We got to start
Okay,
one.
start. Okay, sit. Yeah, that'd be
What the?
insane if you're just starting one. No, he said sit one. Okay, so essentially you're starting the 3 years, however many. I
I
totally
only
lost
remember
numbers.
Puka
We're
and
getting so many.
Debo
Okay,
from
here we go. I
there.
got it. It is Puka,
Puka,
Puka, Rasheed Rice, Amon Ra, and Debo. So
you're
sit one of
starting
those guys. I am sitting out of those.
Rasheed Rice. You're sitting
I'm
Rasheed
sitting
Rice.
Rasheed Rice. Yeah, because Debo's been going off. He's been getting them. He's been so efficient, and they're utilizing him like we saw them utilize him a couple years ago when he had that breakout season. Amon Ra, obviously, you don't think about. Puka at this point, you don't think about. I'm sitting Rasheed Rice.
Bingo. All those guys right now are coming in as top 10 wide receiver plays this week. You got Puka at wide receiver 8. You got
Damn.
Amon-Ra at wide receiver 4. And then you have Deebo Samuel at wide receiver 6. Rasheed Rice just outside the top 10. no matter what, regardless of what it says, I'm not going to bet on a rookie over those guys in the championship.
Yo, I got a fucking good one right here. Shout out
Mm.
Andrew with 2 fire flame emojis around his name. That's how you know he's hot.
Hey, shout out Andrew.
Patrick Mahomes or
Oh,
Justin
shit.
Fields.
Ooh.
It's a good one.
Chiefs
great
against
one.
the Bengals. Justin Fields against ATL.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go. Ooh, I think I gotta go Fields, man. I think I gotta go Fields because of the rushing upside. He might rush for 100, get one in on the ground, throw for 1 or 2. You don't need that much. Like even if he throws for 150, like you're talking about a 25-point performance that you can get from Fields, and I think that's incredibly realistic. Whereas we've seen Mahomes not necessarily flop. We've seen him flop, but we've also just seen him kind of hover around that like 17 range.
Right.
Which isn't great, obviously, and he's having a down year based off of what we all thought. So I'm gonna go Fields because I think he provides you that crazy upside. And the championship week, man, you got to go out here and win. I don't think what scares me about Fields on a week over week basis is that he could flop. He could just not do well or get hurt or something like that. But like that's very matchup dependent. And this matchup for Fields doesn't scare me playing against Atlanta. Like I'm just not like I think Fields can go out and do his thing. And also my last point here before I let you go in is that Fields, I think that Atlanta is a realistic city for him to go next year. Like,
He's playing for his job.
He could play like he balls out here. Atlanta should go make a move for Justin Fields, and the Bears go get Caleb Williams. Like, so I think.
But I could also see ATL going to get Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but like,
it's crazy.
Hell no, man, go get Fields, bro.
I agree with you, but it wouldn't shock me. So Justin Fields last week had 25 points. Obviously, big week. Patrick Mahomes came in at QB 16. Then we look at the rankings. Patrick Mahomes comes in as QB 6, Fields as QB 7. So they're right there. The matchups are pretty similar. And also, I think Mahomes has like rushing upside. This guy has been having 30 to 40 rushing yards types of games and pretty easily. And so that's just going to give you a little bit more. It goes back to what does the rest of your lineup look like, right? Who else do you have? Do I need the ceiling play or do I just want to go for the floor? I think from the floor perspective, it's going to be Mahomes, but that floor is low. I'm not saying that floor is going to be an 18-point type of situation. My gut feeling is that it's going to be Mahomes solely because of what you talked about, which is Justin Fields. I don't know if he can get injured. I don't know what's going to happen. And frankly, against Cincinnati, regardless of Joe Burrow playing or not, that's a rivalry. And they're going to elevate, their play. And we keep saying it. At some point, the Chiefs are going to have a decent game. I don't know if it is this one, but I'm going to lean slightly, like a 0.1 slight type of thing on Mahomes. I'm not going to get too cute with it and bench Mahomes championship weekend for Justin Fields, but it's right there. It's literally a toss up. You could pick one.
Hey, if you like me more, start Justin. If you like Adam more, start Patrick.
Exactly.
Jimmy Joggers, love your content. Thanks, bro. Tyler Algier or Brian Robinson?
Ooh, that's a fucking yucky one, bro.
Brian Robinson against the Niners. Good D, but
but is he playing? Some teams
haven't been able to run against a bit.
Chris Rodriguez got hurt last week and was decent. Brian Robinson.
The Bears defense has been good this year, man. That's who Algier's playing against. It's tough.
It looks like Brian might play. Obviously, he's been dealing with a hamstring injury. If it's one or the other, right? Like it was Brian Robinson or Tyler Algier. Naturally, I'm going to go Brian Robinson. Like if both are healthy, it's not a question over it. So I'll lean, I guess, per that logic, I will go with Brian Robinson. What are you doing?
All right, say less. I'm with you. That's a hard one, dude. So since you're the genius here, then we're going to go with your plan.
So they should have went Mahomes on the last one.
No, I was the genius. When it comes to quarterbacks, I'm the genius.
True, you are. It is in your Twitter bio, so make sure to go check that out. Your Twitter bio is the QB Whisper.
Yep, that's totally right. I guess we should go through a couple more before we wrap this thing up. Cameron Mason says Flacco or Goff. I'm going Goff. I don't like Flacco against the Jets defense. No, he's been playing well, but I don't like that. I also don't love Goff against the Cowboys defense, but they've been susceptible to just literally everything the past few weeks, and they haven't been themselves. So I would bank on that. I would bank on Goff having a good game, especially, it's just a better offense.
I got a couple questions on YouTube coming in. Garrett asked, Breece Hall or Eckler? I'm worried about this Browns defense. I think you got to start Breece Hall. He had more targets, literally more targets than any wide receiver last week.
Dude,
Like he's been double-digit points
16 targets, I
since.
think. Is that what I said
Yeah,
on
yeah, it's
Tuesday?
crazy.
Like, bro,
It's
I mean,
crazy.
he's getting his. He had almost 100 yards receiving. He, I think 12 receptions on those 16 targets.
Mm.
He's getting he's active, bro. Like he's getting that work. And regardless of if he's efficient on the ground, he's gonna be getting his in the receiving game. And the thing about the Jets is they know who their best guys are. It's Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, and we got to get them the ball no matter what. And so Breece is gonna be your guy. That's not even close.
I got a question for you. This question comes in from Runs with the Wind. He's been asking a few times. James Cook, Achane, Etienne, or Eckler, pick one. I'm going to go with
shout out before I answer that. The Runs with the Wind is the one on TikTok as well, sending us fucking flowers and shit. So he's talking about a loyal
He's got both.
loyal follower. He's
Watching
both.
on both.
Screen, bro. It's like red zone, bro. That's crazy. I respect it. That's my guy. The question: James Cook, Devon Achane, is that the one you're asking about? Yeah.
Yep. James Cook,
Devon
Etienne,
Travis Etienne, or Austin Eckler. Pick one out of those. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to go Etienne.
I'm going to go Etienne as well
because I like James Cook. Don't get me wrong. What he's been doing the past few weeks, a little bit inconsistent, but also he's playing the Patriots defense. That's a little scary for me. Etienne also inconsistent. Is he healthy this week, Adam? I know you talked a little bit about him.
He is healthy.
Yeah.
But also we're talking about the 1B to Mostert, and Jeff Wilson's going to get some runs. Right. And then when it comes to Etienne, we're going against Carolina. Like Aaron Jones was able to run wild on them. I'm going to go. This is where the matchup kind of comes into play, especially because you're using the matchup to knock down James Cook, which I think is totally right. I'm going Etienne as well. I've seen some comments before we begin wrapping up, because we are going to begin wrapping up, even though this is our last one, which is super sad. Based off of projections, Rami asked, Brandon Ayuk or Rashee Rice? I'm stuck because Rice is projected 18.7, which is more than AJ. When it comes to projections, I wouldn't here's what I'd say. If you want to put the intimidation factor out there, right? Like you want to show strength in numbers, then you're going to put the best possible projections going into the weekend. But you got to remember, you're going to change it, right? It's an intimidation factor to your opponent. So when it comes to projections, I'm not getting stuck on what they're going to do, because those projections are based off of, could be spike weeks. Like Amari Cooper, for example, is projected 14.3, I think it is. Aaron Jones is projected 14.8. But Amari Cooper had this spike week last week, so you would think that he would have more, his projection would be a lot higher. Don't get caught up in what those projections are saying. Analyze the matchups, see what they've been able to do. Are we talking floors? Are we talking ceilings? So when it comes to Brandon Ayuk or Rashee Rice, I think we're both going to probably start Brandon Ayuk over Rashee Rice, regardless of the projections.
Yep. I mean, I do think it's close, but I think
it is definitely close. They're both like top 15 wide receivers. So
Yo, before this isn't even fantasy related. I'm just on ESPN real quick and looking at the scores this week, and you know how they show, or I guess looking at the matchups this week, and you know how they show the top quarterback, the top passer, the top rusher, the top receiver for every team. Shout out to Adam Thielen this year, bro. 2 games left to play, 95 receptions, 964 yards, 4 touchdowns. What a year for the guy.
And he started hot too, and cooled off. And that's
95 receptions for Adam Thielen playing with the broke ass quarterback this year. That's crazy.
Could you imagine if Minnesota still had him though, as their wide, like Jordan Addison would be the wide receiver 3? So
they should.
They cut him. I think it was a cap casualty type of situation. But man, that guy's been hooping. But hey, do we want to do one more question, or we want to wrap it up? Last one. You got a question for me, or on TikTok, or should we go to
I
YouTube?
Can totally grab one, bro. Oh, well, all right. We should answer 2, because Anthony, where is he? Anthony Pena. He's asking the QB whisperer for his answer. So that's only me.
You got it.
So now, that's only me. He said Tyrod, Stidham, or Brissett.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ, bro. Why are you choosing between this? Tyrod is starting for the Giants this week?
Yes.
And then Stidham.
Jesus.
Stidham is.
I'm not starting. We're not for the Broncos.
Jesus
we're not trusting that.
No, I don't even remember the last one we said.
It was
Tyrod. I'm going Brissett, bro. I think
you're not afraid of that Niners D?
Not particularly right now. I know they can play, but that secondary is terrible. And we've seen Brissett come in year after year and actually have good performances in his first game out. Doesn't matter if he's playing with the Browns. It doesn't matter if he's playing with the Patriots. Brissett has had good games. The Colts. He has had good games, especially when he just steps in. The Niners defense, their front seven's a little scary, but their secondary is susceptible to anything. And that over-under is 49.5. So I think even if Brissett goes out and throws 2 interceptions, he's going to be forced to throw for lots of yards, like 250 plus, I think. So I'm gonna go Brissett, even though like I'm not confident in any of those guys.
Tyrod Taylor comes in at QB 27
How about
this
the other
week.
guys?
Jacoby Brissett QB 30 and
Mm.
Jarrett Stidham QB 32.
Okay, so yeah, exactly. So you got three bad options. I do think that Brissett, I trust Brissett more. I will say that.
I might
All right,
go Tyrod just
you
because
go
of the
Tyrod.
rushing upside. Just because of the rushing upside.
I respect it. I respect it. It's very close. All right, so last question. Let me get a good one for us. Let me get a real
I
good
got a
one
good one
for.
for you also from YouTube. We'll take Dak or Lamar. Which one are you doing? Dak or Lamar, Niners or Browns? I'm assuming that's defense.
Okay, so Dak or Lamar first. So
I think
Dak's
I'm
playing
going
the
Lamar
Lions.
personally.
Lamar. Who Lamar playing?
The Dolphins.
Dolphins. Yeah. Oh, that's tough, brother. I think I'm gonna go Dak. I think I'm gonna
No,
go
no,
Dak.
hit it.
I think he has Lamar's same ceiling and his floor is better. Uh, Lamar, we've seen him time after time, even if they have good games. Like I think he'll have a good game against the Dolphins, but he doesn't need to do anything. Like
Yep,
he could cruise with 15 fantasy points
that I agree
and he
with.
still win by 15. I think, yeah, I'm gonna take Dak. I think this is a game he has to bounce back against the Lions, so I'm gonna go Dak.
So I'll go with Dak with you. I totally agree with that knowledge.
Let's go. All right, bro. It's tough. There's a lot of questions, so I'm just gonna go the standard. His name is the standard. I'm gonna ask. He's asking Rashee Rice, Puka, or Amari Cooper.
Puka.
You gotta go Puka. Puka's just been more consistent. He's been doing his thing, so I'm gonna go Puka. So yeah, that's the final question there.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to end. I mean, Puka has been probably one of the MVPs of the fantasy season outside of like Mostert and some other guys. Like that guy, he had 33 last week. He looks the part. Like he's a physical specimen. He's like a Debo Lightwork. Exactly. You're wearing the Puka shirt,
Bro,
which
I don't
means
know
we gotta
why
go
I
Puka.
answered verbally when I could have just said done this.
It's an incredible shirt, by the way. So RIP to Jack Brody. But hey, Felipe, this officially wraps up our start sits that we have done every single week, multiple times a week, frankly, but every single week for the last 17 weeks. It's crazy to think that, the NFL season's coming to an end. But hey, man, hopefully we've tried to help people get to the championship. Hopefully we've helped you enough to win that championship. I do want to say that if you do win this week, make sure to, send us a screenshot, send us your lineups on Twitter. You can follow both of us, the Felipe Fontes on Twitter. You can follow me at TGD Tabs. So screenshot it, send it to us. I mean, we've obviously been doing this together and building these lineups together. So it'd be really cool to see what that winning roster looks like heading into the finals. Predictions episode comes out tomorrow. If you are into betting, sports betting in any capacity, hit the link in our bio. That's on YouTube, Instagram, or on TikTok. Go bet with FanDuel. They've got a promo right now with us. That running bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets for a new user if the money line hits on your team. So make sure to check that out if you want to do some sports betting. And hey, let's go be great. Felipe, words of wisdom, final one of the entire season. Championship weekend is here.
I got some words of wisdom. Before that, I just want to shout out everybody giving us love on TikTok right now. As you kind of closing us out with, obviously being the final episode and stuff. Jay Allen said it's been a great run. Thanks for the advice, lads. Some others, Griggity, I guess, came in a little bit later. He said better late than never. Hopefully I catch you guys all next season. Absolutely. But keep in mind, y'all, that this podcast is going to keep, we keep dropping. We drop 3 episodes a week of the regular, just regular content. Even in the off season, we're talking about all types of stuff. In fact, last off season, it was our biggest growth for the podcast was during the off season because we have a lot of fun content when everybody's just talking about bullshit. We're actually bringing the fun. So definitely, keep catching us on the regular episodes, Spotify, Apple, find us everywhere. Words of wisdom. Look, guys, this is my words of wisdom. End every episode with it. This one's coming straight from the heart. Okay. I was knocked out round one. But the only reason I'm still hopeful, the only reason I still have joy in life right now, okay,
in life
is because there's so many of these guys, so many of these people, men and women, because there's a lot of women that follow us and play fantasy as well.
Of course,
there's a lot of them who are in the fantasy championship because we helped them get there. You have to take it home from me. You're playing for me. You're playing for my life. Adam is in the championship in a few leagues. He's got something to play for. You guys are playing for me. I'm living through you guys. You guys have to go win this week. Do what you got to do. Go start your guys that are going to go win the championship for you. And let's go have a party, man. Let's go win those prizes. Let's do it.
Why not us, Felipe? Why not us? We'll see you tomorrow for our predictions episode. I love you. Good luck this weekend.
Peace.
Let's go win a chip.